folks. Welcome to another episode of the Prophet Easy One. It's early in the morning now. I've been up all night. Yeah, I figured I'd get out another little video. I heard this. I don't know if you've ever seen this guy. He's like 11 years old. Little black preacher. Something green. I tell you, he does pretty good. He does, for his age, he does pretty good, and I hope he keeps it up. I've seen where a lot of people have said bad things about him. He's preaching the word of God. So whether his parents are having him do it for money or whatever the reason is, doesn't matter. As long as he's actually getting the word out there, the word shall not return void. But I'm going to get into a little something here, a little faith builder for these last days. It's touching on some things I've touched on, but we're going to get it from Daniel chapter 6, verse 1 right now. This is the story about Daniel in the lion's den. Everybody's heard that story, but let me see if I can present it to you differently, maybe from just you reading it or how you've heard it and how that it applies to today and to what's coming. Because Daniel is a book that's full of prophecy. And it ties in a lot with the book of Revelation and other places too, but especially with that. So let's go here. It pleased Darius to set over his kingdom and 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom. Now, see, his kingdom back then went from like India on into Africa, all through the Middle East. It was a huge kingdom. In fact, I read a book many years ago called Conqueror of the World, and it was about him. He actually went by several different names. And anyway, but here now, Daniel, who'd been brought there in captivity, has now become, here it is, let's go to this again. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, because he had such big territory. So he had princes around that could, and it says, which should be over the whole kingdom. And over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first, and that the princes might give account unto them, and the king should have no damages. So see, he had 120 princes and 3 presidents over them, and Daniel was the chief of them. So let's see what happens here. Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. So now he's thinking, yeah, this guy Daniel's been doing great. He's got integrity, man, I can trust him. He knows what he's doing. He's a very wise man. I'm going to put him over all my stuff. So then jealousy set in, because, all these other presidents and princes, they're here and they're bucking for those positions. So here it is. Then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could find none occasion or fault, for as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. So, there wasn't nothing they could go say to the king to discredit him, because he was obviously too good of a person. Then said these men, we shall not find any occasion against Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God. Let's go on with this. Remember, they're doing all this out of jealousy, out of envy, and that's the same reason that the Pharisees wanted Jesus killed. Same reason. Said, Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king, and said unto him, King Darius, live forever. And the presidents of the kingdom, the governors, all the presidents of the kingdom, the governors and the princes, the counselors and the captains have consulted together to establish a royal statute and to make a firm decree that whoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, except of you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions. Now you see, these certain jealous people were saying that, yeah, all the princes and presidents and everybody agreed to this. Obviously, that's not true, because Daniel surely wasn't a part of it. And I'm not sure if Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had positions at that time, but that's another thing. We may get into that a little in this story. All right, let's just go on with this. So here's what they said to him. So anyone who makes a prayer or petition of anyone, except for the king, for the next 30 days, shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, king, establish a decree and sign the writing that it be not changed, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Once something was signed into law, you couldn't change it. I mean, I'm sure there's ways. We have that problem today in this country. When I was living in the Keys, they came through and they made all these sign ordinances. And they said that a dive shop could only have one flag on it. Now, that's how you found dive shops. They'd have dive flags all over them. You couldn't miss them. They said you couldn't hang an American flag. I had one at my shop. It stayed up. Yeah, I was going to let them come pry it out of, or maybe I'd have pried it out of their dead hands. I'm not sure. But mine stayed up. And I happened to have been down in Key West for something. And I saw the government channel there. And see, the whole time, all these businesses are complaining. Yeah, they made you take down all kinds of signs. It was totally ridiculous. That's part of your advertising. Anyway, what happened is it was causing businesses a lot of money. And everybody was complaining. But the government didn't care. Until all of a sudden, I happened to be watching this. They realized they were losing too much money because the businesses were losing money, which was costing them money. See, my experience has been governments don't do stuff for your welfare. They're doing stuff to bring in more money all the time. That's what they think about. And they think that's going to make your life better. No, you don't need overcrowding. Anyway, you don't need crime. You don't need all of that. So anyway, the woman in charge, she said, well, what can we do to change this law? And the attorney, he told them what they could do. And she said, well, let's get this changed right away. And he said, well, it could take 4 or 5 months. 4 or 5 months for them to change the law that they put in, And so she wanted to know what they could do meanwhile. And he told her, well, for the time being, just tell your enforcers not to enforce the law until we can get the law changed. So, that's kind of what was happening here. You made that law and you couldn't change it. That was part of the thing about the Medes and the Persians. So let's go on with this. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree. Now, while Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God as he did before. So, that means all laws aren't good, right? I mean, if Daniel, man, he's like second in the kingdom, and he's disobeying the law, because he knows that law isn't right. It's totally against God. And, I got to say, that's what I say to anybody else. If these laws are against God's laws, don't be going along with them. All right. Instead, let's make them change those laws. Like you may have heard in some other videos. When the people fear the government, we have tyranny. When the government fears the people, we have liberty. So we need to hold them responsible to do their jobs and to do them properly. We need to get the right people in there. Godly people. All right, here we go. So he was praying as he did before. Then these men assembled and found Daniel praying and making supplication before his God. Oh, were they happy. They said, oh, we got him now. Yeah, the king's going to have to kill him. Then one of us is going to get that position. Then we can, maybe scam a little money or get some favors, because they weren't good people, especially if they're doing this. Okay. Then they came near and spoke before the king concerning the king's decree. Have you not signed a decree that every man that shall ask a petition of any god or man within 30 days, except of you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, the thing is true, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Then answered they and said before the king, that Daniel, which is the children of the captivity of Judah, regardeth not thee, O king? That's a lie. He was doing everything good to take care of the king. It says, so he regardeth not you, O king, nor the decree that you have signed, but makes his petition 3 times a day. Ooh, so let's go on with this. But before I do, these people got him to make that law to come after the righteous. And they still do that today. And that's what they've done to come after me. And they've done it in the past. Here, I'm having a little coffee with you, okay? Like I said, it's before 7 o'clock, and I've pretty much been up all night. I just did a video a little bit ago. Where was I here? Let me see. Psalm 94, verse 20 and 21. God says, there's other translations that make this clearer. I'll try to make it clear to you. God says, and what fellowship have you with them who create mischief by law? No, who frame mischief by law, that they might go after the right. It says, and then they gather themselves together that they might go after the righteous and shed innocent blood. That's what they were doing here. That's what David talked about in the Psalm. And that's what they still do today. They go out and make laws that they might come after the righteous. For instance, gun laws, ammo laws. Hey, you haven't been a criminal, you've had a gun, your grandpa gave it to your dad, he gave it to you, and now all of a sudden, because you have it, you're a criminal. Or let's look back at when they went to criminalize gold. They wanted all the gold. And they got it. Yeah, these people that tell the government what laws to do, it make people in the government and those people above them very wealthy. And it was going to be 10 years in jail and a big fine if you didn't turn in your gold. And after that, our money has just been paper. It's worthless. It's such a big scam. It's gonna. The end is approaching. They can't run the scam much longer. Too many people around the world are bucking it. All right, let's get back to this. So, when they told him that Daniel was praying 3 times a day, then the king, when he heard these words, was sore displeased with himself, and set his heart to Daniel to deliver him. And he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. He thought, man, why did I ever pass a law like that? Now, I can't change the law. What can I do? He thought about it till the sun went down. It troubled him all day. But there was nothing he could do to deliver him. But let's go on with this. Then these men assembled unto the king and said unto the king, now, O king, that the law of the Medes and Persians is that no decree nor statute which the king established may be changed. Because they knew he was wanting to change it. He was probably delaying things. They probably wanted to throw him in the lion's den right then and there. And he probably asked him, well, give me until dark. So this is probably where we're at. It says, so then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, thy God whom thou servest continually, he will deliver you. He was sure hoping. He was praying. And a stone was brought and laid upon the mouth of the den. And check this out now. And the king sealed it with his own signet and the signet of his lords, that the purpose might not be changed according to Daniel. Even these other guys, they wanted to put their seals on there too to make sure that nobody let Daniel out. They wanted him dead. Yeah, they didn't care that they had set him up, that they had framed him. Yeah, and the government will still do that today. That's what they've done to me with my business here. It's going to force me to have to leave this state. I'm not sure where I'm going to go yet, but it won't be that much longer. I know I have to go because I'd rather do things legally. They won't allow me to do things legally here. And the Bible says, how can a man win a race except he run it lawfully? So I'm going to have to go somewhere else, right, where I can be legal. All right, let's go. So they all sealed it. Then the king went into his palace and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. He couldn't sleep. He didn't eat. He didn't want to hear any music. He was so sad. He was probably still his heart was with Daniel. And I don't know who he might have been praying to, but he was praying that Daniel's God would deliver him. Then the king arose early in the morning and went in haste to the den of lions. He wanted to find out. And when he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel, a sad voice. He figured, oh, man, I caused him to die. So he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel, and the king spoke and said unto Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is your God, whom you serve continuously, able to deliver you from the lions? Then David said unto the king, O king, live forever. Daniel probably didn't even know that the king really wasn't a part of it, and he was, he'd been serving the king and doing good for him. All right. He said, here's what Daniel says, my God has sent his angel, and he has shut the lions' mouths that they have not hurt me, for as much as before him innocence he was found in me, and also before you, O king, have I done no hurt. Then the king was exceedingly glad for him, and commanded that they should take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no manner of hurt was found upon him, because he believed in his God. We're not going to go there yet. And the king commanded, and they brought these men which accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den of lions. So these men who caused this problem and accused Daniel, now they get cast into the den of lions. Check them out. Check this out. Them, their children, and their wives. And the lions had the mastery of them, and break all their bones in pieces before they ever came to the bottom of the den. All these lions, they didn't bother Daniel because the Lord was with him. Like he says in Job, and I've said in one of my other videos, that especially in these last days, and it should be so even now, that with God's people, that the beasts of the field would be in league with them, or at peace with you. He does say that the rocks of the field would be in league with you, and that's a very interesting little thing. Maybe I'd put in one of my little minutes one time, but not right now. I don't want to get sidetracked on that and have this go for too long. So, like I said, when they cast these people and their families and their children all in the lion's den, their bones were all broke before they ever got down to the bottom. God said, okay, these you can get. Just like in my video about the mark of the beast. Those locusts won't be after God's people, neither will the beast. But they will be after those people who've accepted the mark of the beast. All right, so now King Darius makes a new law. Then King Darius wrote unto all the people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth. He was a conqueror of the world. That was the name of that book. He had a humongous kingdom. So he wrote unto all the people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom, man tremble and fear before the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, and steadfast forever, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even unto the end. If you saw my one about that little key to the book of Daniel, I really wish I'd have done that better, but, that's part of that, because that says, he'd be steadfast, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be forever until the end. Because when the church and the Lord do break up the beast, that's all going to go to pieces, and God's church is going to grow to fill everything. All right. So he delivers and rescues and works signs and wonders in heaven and the earth, who has delivered Daniel from the power of the lions. So this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. So, see, he delivered Daniel. And you've heard me talk about how, in the last days, the Lord has made a lot of things for his people. And I'm still not going to get into a whole lot of that here in this video, because I'm trying to get this one cut. But hopefully I will in another video. But the big thing is, you got to have faith. God is going to do some miraculous things in the last days. I mean, heck, everything doing with the tribulations miraculous, not only because it's going to happen, but because it's been predicted to happen for so long. It's all part of God's plan. Um, so, yeah, you're going to need faith, just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Now, they were cast into the fiery furnace. It was heated 7 times hotter than ever. So hot that the big strong man that they had to throw them in there, they got burned up and died. Yet these guys fell in there, and next thing you know, they're walking around. They come out, not a hair on them singed. Their clothes didn't even smell like smoke. And in the last days, even with all the terrible things that are coming, the Lord will be doing things to deliver his people. I've covered some of that in some of my videos. Like I said, I can't put it all in one video. I will keep giving you bits and pieces. It's just like the way that you need to get the Bible. Like it says in it, line upon line, precept upon precept, line upon line, precept upon precept. Here a little, there a little. So that's how I have to give it to you for now. I gave some a little while ago, and I was tired and thought, man, I should take a nap before I get out here and do anything. But I said, no, let me give them a little. So here's a little. Over there I got a little. Get the word, read your Bible, pray, repent, and have a wonderful day.